DCM works. Funnier than a 90s gritty reboot.
It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I'd done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as
It makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is
Because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
we went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling. Hey guys, welcome back to the Alpha Artist Podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. My name is David, DCM, creative director, lead writer. I'm joined, as always, by my dramatically paused co-host, Ben.
Hi.
See what I did there?
You dramatically paused.
I did. I've had the biggest fucking headache all day today, and not the kind that, like, there's a reason to have.
Well, then why are you drinking alcohol?
Because it'll help.
Oh, the hell, yeah.
Well, it's not going to make it worse.
Sure thing.
It's not going to make it you know?
I guarantee you it'll make it worse.
No, I don't think so. This week, Ben and David argue about the medicinal value of alcohol. This week we're talking about the style of the Get Down.
I came from the city, back in the time, 1977. It was maximum crime. The Bronx, we had to rumble with rivals on the rubble while buildings around us would crumble. But yo, my life began last year, Southmore High School. That summer I saw her, said to myself, she'll be my wife soon.
That's how it's gonna go down, do or die.
This is a Netflix series, filmed on a pretty low budget.
Oh god, it's so cheap.
Like, it's real cheap.
You can see the cheapness in just like some of the CG and some of the
The green screens are all really bad.
Yeah.
But what they do, so the reason that I want to talk about the style specifically is they do this thing that a lot of people don't do anymore, which is they go, well, we're on this really low budget, but how can we make it work?
Yeah, well, it's super campy with some of its shots. Like it just doesn't give a shit that it looks like garbage.
It's like, and it kind of owns. I think ultimately, like the way that they approached it. So clearly they had like a budget, and they were like, okay, we've got X amount of money, which means we can afford to do all these green screens. That
They
we
clearly
want to do.
spent a lot of money on Jaden Smith.
I think he probably did it.
He probably did it for free.
Probably would have. He
I
probably
reckon
did it
he's
for
the
free.
kind of kid that would do it for
Yeah,
free.
he would, because he would have been like, this is a really important part of this culture that needs to be explored, right?
Yeah, I reckon he'd do it. For
I'm fairly
not that
confident
much
he
money.
would. If I'd done any research going into this, I'd have the answer for you, but I don't.
No.
But he is in it, which was like my he was like my least favorite
Are you
part.
kidding me? I love Jaden
That being
Smith.
said, he does
I
a
think
lot
he's
of-
great.
He does like a shitload of acting toward the end, and he's actually like, he goes from being my least favorite part to being one of my favorite characters.
I mean, he's not a bad actor. He's
he
just
just is in bad stuff.
he's just a bit of a weirdo. Yeah, and he's in garbage films.
Which is fine. You know, it's whatever. You Will Smith.
I mean, he's literally Will Smith's kid. He'll get better.
yeah. Just give him like
Just give him
30
like
years.
30 years.
And he'll be like, hey,
And then
I'm
he'll
a
be great.
Like, I'm a great actor now.
It'd be fantastic.
So the basic premise of the show is that it follows this hip hop artist and his rise through the kind of disco rap culture to becoming like a Kendrick Lamar-esque figure.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, like, well, the episodes begin to be bookended by these rap sequences where he's sort of up on the stage rapping. It's very like
Well, that's all of the episodes.
that's what I'm saying. Like all the episodes are
Yeah,
bookmarked by that. Yeah. And so, I mean, just even the visuals and the style and everything, it's very like Kendrick-esque. So it's sort of like very sort of this guy who's a very much. And I'm talking about the bookend sequences, not the show itself.
Yeah.
It's very much this rapper who's come from very, very far down and is now at sort of toward the top of the game, and is in that position because of the things that had happened. And
Yeah.
a lot of the time he'll be rapping about the things that are happening in that episode.
Well, it's the way they bookend the episodes with these sections, because they kind of imply that he's telling the story
Through the
during his
verse.
shows.
Yeah.
So it kind of lends itself well to some of the ridiculous shit that happens.
Oh, some crazy shit.
Because you can tell that it's obvious that he's kind of like exaggerating certain parts for like effect.
He's giving it style. And
Because parts just come through and you're like, that is just the campiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
There's a few moments in the first episode that are just insane. And then like throughout the show,
Pretty much every scene in the first episode that has, what's his name, Shaolin?
yeah, Shao.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
are just fucking phenomenal. Like
It's all
they're
just so sensational.
Yeah,
like
just
from
like
the shoes
over
to
the
the sound effects.
yeah, like over the top, sort of like very obvious action, like hero shots.
it
things
looks like
that.
an old Bruce Lee film.
It looks like a Tarantino film almost. in
Oh,
some-
yeah, to the extent
in
that it's
some parts.
stylized. Yeah. There's Xiao gets less and less stylized as we get to know him more and more, but like it starts to focus more and more on the music and the stuff that they're doing. So that stuff becomes much more exaggerated. So it goes from like, oh, these people are like these cartoons or whatever. You get to know the cartoons. Then the music becomes the like really campy bit.
Yeah.
So like there's a particular sequence where Xiao is trying to learn the get down, which is the technique that the sensei is trying to teach him, because it's where you can basically seamlessly blend two record beats.
Yeah, so you can constantly you
So
can
you
keep
have, like,
a
an
beat
endless
going
beat.
indefinitely.
Yeah. And so they give there's an episode where they get given Xiao and the gang. So it's Xiao and I think it's Xiao and the Fantastic 4+1 maybe.
Yeah.
That's what they were originally called. They changed the name later, but they get given this crayon by the sensei, and he's like, "This is the secret to the get down." And so they spend the entire day getting high and sitting in Xiao's apartment, like staring at this fucking crayon. And at one point, Jaden Smith's character is drawing on the wall with it, and he breaks it in half.
Yeah.
And Xiao like loses his mind and chases him out of the apartment. But they spend this entire day, and eventually, the protagonist, whose name I can never remember, like,
Yeah, neither.
I don't know why. It's a lot of show, and I watched it
Yeah.
like spaced out.
I've
like,
only seen one episode so far.
yeah. Look, in
So,
classic style, Ben was given a request several
prepared.
weeks ago to watch this, and has not done anything. In
I got assignments,
in
bro.
time. I don't give a shit.
Uni work.
I don't give a shit. This is a podcast by two white guys.
Yeah,
This is the
super
most
important.
This is the most important thing. But so he eventually works out. But should we hang on? We should name the main character. We should give him a name, because it's going to be annoying
Bobby.
saying the main character Bobby. That's not his name, and it's not a good name for a rap star.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, his rap name is Book. Because he's real book smart. So we'll call him that. Well, it's
Calling
Xiao
him-
gives him that name.
whatever,
No,
we'll
sorry,
call him-
Books plural. Which
Okay,
is slightly
Books.
less bad.
Sure.
Yeah, so Books works out that like he's like drawing, like I can't think of what he's doing, but he's like drawing with the crayon, and then he looks at the record and he's like, okay, Xiao, just draw where the beat starts, and he puts like a line on the record.
Yeah.
Turns out that's the trick to the get down, is like you have to know where the lines are on the record, because the way records work, the needle moves on the track right in the groove.
Yeah.
So what they do is they put a point in the record where the get down starts with the crayon, like a straight line.
Yeah.
It's not a tangent, that's a radius?
It's a radius line.
Yeah, a radius line. And then that helps Xiao find the get down. And then what they work out is that you have to like lean on the needle a tiny bit to create new grooves in the record, so that just before you get to the get down, the record skips a tiny bit, so you know exactly when it's coming, and then you can move to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's this like really complicated like thing that you could actually do in real life, but you wouldn't be quick enough to do. Like it's not really possible.
Yeah.
Like you can do it, but you'd have to be so good that it would be
Yeah.
like you would have
Ends
to
up being this weird mythical thing.
you would have to
that-
literally be like one of the world's best DJs with scratch discs, and Xiao is. So
Yeah,
it
well,
kind of
that's,
makes
that's the point.
so it matches the fiction pretty well.
Yeah.
But that's one of those episodes where it's so stylized because it's hot. Everyone is always sweating because it's in New York and it's
Yeah.
in summertime, and that's like that again is such a great like low budget thing that happens. Everyone looks so sweaty and like
They probably just they just filmed it on location, and everyone was actually just very sweaty.
yeah.
And
And like
just
it's so hot
just don't have to pay for makeup because
No.
we're not applying makeup.
because no one will be wearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really cool, especially with the costumes as well. Like they clearly just got a whole bunch of old
I
disco
think
shit.
I think the costuming is the best part of the series, or at least the first episode. Because again, I've only seen the first episode. But the weird, like, because it was that weird transitionary period between hip hop and just disco funk.
really weird.
It's just the weird, the weird pubescent stage, and like disco's weird. Like disco is
It's a weird culture.
disco is an odd set of.
It's like let's go dancing and do
couple
a
of
bunch
years.
of cocaine.
Yeah, and let's wear just the weirdest suits that nowadays are just like, what the fuck are you wearing?
Nowadays, it's a real statement.
It was not a good statement.
That being said, there were some costumes where I saw them and I was like, oh, okay, that people still wear that kind of thing. Like there's periodically a few things where like color combinations, shapes and stuff, people still wear some of that stuff.
Yeah, but it's never like, it's not in. It's
No.
always someone wearing something because it's not.
Yeah, because it's not. It definitely, it's like a lot of them are dressed like hipsters, is what we're getting at.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
yeah,
like,
it's the
but
way
like
to put it.
proto hipsters, like before that
Well,
was.
yeah,
the thing.
because it's not like over the top. Well, it can be over the top. It's not always over the top.
It's not over the top for the sake of being over the top. It's over the top for the sake of the disco.
Yeah, it's over the
Thing.
top when it's relevant to the
Yes.
the themes.
There
of-
are a few moments where the main female love interest, whose again name I can't remember. It's been like a week since I watched this.
Yeah.
She, I should have like Wikipedia the names of the characters before we started, but it's too late now. We have no way of looking it up.
Just pull up the cast list.
It's too late. We have no way of looking it up, Ben. So
Yeah, sure.
it's hard. I'm gonna look it up though. That being said, what am I? The Get Down, IMDb. I almost typed IMBD, which is not what it's called.
You're a BD as in
Mate,
you're a big deal.
You got me.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I don't want to drag this because Audacity's a sensitive motherfucker. So, Ezekiel is the main character.
Yeah, that's a weird name.
Shaolin Fantastic, which, by the way, best fucking DJ name ever.
Shaolin Fantastic.
Mylene is the main love interest.
Yeah.
And so with her character, Mylene, they do this weird thing where she starts off as being sort of like the main love interest, and then she kind of stops being it, and she is again. But they do this thing where toward the middle and the end of the show, they just like they just really sexualize her, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. And it's because the story is being told from Ezekiel's perspective, so because Books is rapping.
Yeah.
And it's the point where they first have sex and all that stuff. So it's very much about like the story becomes about him finding sexuality and stuff like that. So she starts to dress much more provocatively.
Yeah.
And it took me a few episodes to work out why that happened. I was like, that's really weird because no one else in the show is dressing like this.
Yeah, it's just
But
her.
Yeah, because it's his story that he's telling, and that's
Yeah.
how he sees her. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. But it wasn't until someone pointed that out that I realized it, and I was gonna be one of those people that was like,
Oh, they over-sexualize her in the third episode.
no, I was gonna be like,
Oh,
I
not like that? Oh,
no,
okay.
I never did that. I would have been like, I don't get it. Can someone please explain?
Right.
Because I'm not the kind of person that's like there's always a reason. There's always
Not
a
always
reason,
a
and if there's not, then don't assume that they're just sexist cunt bags. Always, I go.
I mean,
this,
sometimes they just want to have a sneaky wank.
yeah.
You just want to have a wank.
You know what? Sometimes you gotta have a wank.
Don't, but you know the problem is that is having like a sexualized character who's only there just to have a wank.
Yeah.
But then trying to sort of back up the reason why they're overly sexualized.
it-
That's the problem.
you know-
You know, just admit the fact
No,
that
I
you want to
agree.
have a little wank.
It's the
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you're a bit of a weirdo, but
It's,
you know,
if you own that and you're like, you know what, I want to have a bit of wank, and we all go, you know what, we've all been
it's
there.
just the wank
You
character.
have some funny pants feelings. We all have it, right?
Yeah.
It's the same. Actually, you know what it is? It's the same thing as the time turner in Harry Potter, right? So the time turner, you know, in the
Yeah.
third book that
Yeah,
lets you
yeah.
go back through time, that breaks the whole universe. Right?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
But when you come up to a Harry Potter fan and you're talking about Harry Potter, and sometimes you get into it with people because I personally think they're average, but people love them, and I'm fine with that.
Never really got into them.
But people like are diehard fans. But what happens is when you bring up the time turner, instead of going, yeah, you know what, I love it in spite of its faults. It's fine. The time turner, you know, it breaks the fiction. But you know what, I forgive it and I love it in spite of its flaw. Instead, what they do is they start to get really defensive and they'll try and explain it away,
Explain the time turn. Yeah.
which makes
Like, well, actually, in the
And it
fourth
just-
anthology novel written by this person on
it
the
just
internet,
ruins,
they explain the time turner as a shift in the quantum flux
just
field
ruins any authenticity.
pushed
you
by
might
the
have.
magic force of the 12 dragons. It's just
You
like,
just- you-
shut the fuck up.
just-
It's just
you-
a
yeah.
dumb time
You
travel
just throw your authority out the
segment.
window.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like sexism stuff. It's like sometimes, like in my writing, sometimes when I'm writing, right, because I am a straight male. Sometimes when I'm writing a female character,
You just want to have a little wank sometimes.
well, no, what,
just
like,
wanna have a
well, because
wank.
when I'm creating, right, so like, because I'm in a headspace where I'm just like pumping out
Yeah.
words, right, I'll inadvertently insert tags that are like sexual by act, like because it's just you're in the middle of it and you're like, this character in my head is quite attractive or she's whatever.
Yeah.
Then in post when we're going through an edits,
You're like,
Arnold.
fuck, I
Well-
had a hard on while writing this, that's for sure.
Yeah, Aaron will be like, yeah, go. He's like, you're writing a young adult fiction book, but here it gets really sexual. I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice. Cool. I must have just been incredibly horny when I was writing it. Or whatever, you know, whatever it is, right? So then you go back through and you edit
In
it.
the mood.
But the minute you go, oh no, well, I did that because, you suddenly lose all kind of credibility.
Like, actually, no, you just did it for a
I think that's
sneaky-
why this show
sneaky little
works.
wank.
Because all of the things it does that are insane, it totally owns.
Oh, yeah, like,
Shaolin
it's-
Fantastic red sneakers, when you first see that, like, hero shot of him with the, like,
it literally just pans up from the sneakers, but
Mm.
like it pivots around so that it's always showing his sneakers. Like in every shot he's in, you see his sneakers.
they're very, until about episode 4 or 5,
When they
you don't
start
get him
really-
without sneakers.
Oh yeah, that's how it should be. I mean,
There's only one. No, I think he even wears the sneakers when he's in his underwear. I'm trying to think. There's a scene where he's in his underwear.
that's fantastic.
He has red and white underwear as well that matches his
Oh
sneakers.
God! Of course he does.
Yeah, no, I think he's actually wearing the sneaker. He might be. I might be wrong about that.
He has to be. It's
Let me
the
know.
Costume.
Tweet at me. I'm actually curious. For those of you who remember,
Yeah.
at DCMI Pie, is he wearing sneakers while he's in his underwear?
He's gotta
when he's
be.
in that weird sex
He
scene?
doesn't
Let me
take
know.
them out.
I don't know.
He doesn't take them off.
Doesn't take them out.
I
Take
don't
them
know.
off. But yeah, so like that, the aesthetic is like super. I don't know, like it's over the top, but it feels like it felt at that time.
Yeah,
Like
because
you
we
can
don't.
tell, if you can tell, it feels authentic.
Yeah, because we don't fucking know what it was like. We're fucking 20-somethings born in Australia. We're so disconnected
We're
from that entire...
we're almost as far away as you can get from.
Yeah, literally as far away as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird, and part of it seemed like not like sort of not real in a sense. But then I think the smartest thing they did was splice a lot of their sort of transition shots with actual footage,
Yes.
like actual historical footage.
Yeah.
I think that really, if they didn't have that, it would have probably like spun out of control a bit early and just been a bit too ridiculous, especially since the first episode is feature length. You could have easily forgotten the fact that like, oh, this is actually meant to be like a true story in a sense, or like a story based on like
It's
actual,
representative. Yeah.
yeah, like an actual like time period. But those like every now and then they'll cut to like footage that you can tell is like old because it's grainy as fuck. But it sort of helps ground you in the whole idea of like, oh, there were just sections of this city that were just rubble.
Yeah,
Like,
and-
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Crazy, and
Yeah.
and I think that's helped as well by they pick a very specific color palette for a lot of the scenes they shoot. There's a lot of oranges. It's not the vibrant colors that are there are very much the same color palette. Like it's oranges, it's reds. When there are blues and pinks and stuff like that, they're still kind of tinted toward the orange.
Yeah.
So what you get is you get this real impressionistic version of what it was like, which is almost better than like say like Downton Abbey, right? Which in its first season was trying to be like a recreation of what that time
fuck
period was.
Downton Abbey though.
Like whatever, people like it, I don't care. But they were trying to like recreate it like perfect beat
Yeah.
for beat. Whereas The Get Down is done what good fiction does, where it goes, what we're gonna do is we're
not
gonna
gonna
build this world, and we're gonna stylize it enough that you can't see the walls of where the world
Yeah,
are.
we're not gonna try to make it real because we won't succeed.
No, but we can
So
make it
just gonna-
feel real
yeah,
enough.
you cut their losses and sort of make it as good as they can, and then shift it slightly so that it's not sort of in line with. Because when you have something that's trying to emulate something else, it's so easy to see the imperfections.
Well, it's like
It's just
in
the
a-
uncanny valley.
Right, or in like a Grand Theft Auto game, when you walk up to a door and you can't go inside, you'd be like, "Oh, that's unrealistic." But in Mario, where you jump from platform to platform, no one is ever like, "Oh, it's unrealistic that you can throw fireballs,"
Yeah, because it's part of.
because it's part of that space they've created.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that sort of expectation, and like versus what you actually get given. So when, you know, if they started off presenting this world that was meant to be like super realistic and it was all like down like real and gritty or whatever, and then they show the sections which are like obviously CG and it's like rubber, and you're like, fuck, this looks horrible. You don't really care as much because you're like, you know, it's like whatever, it's Spy Kids 3 or something. Like,
Yeah, well,
fucking
you
it looks
see-
dumb anyway.
You see the edges of the thing that they're trying to create.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this in terms of game design, because like really, really, really good game design is such that when you're in the space or the world that they've created, if it's a really good world and if it's really solidly considered and it's built into the game, you don't look for the walls of the world. And I don't
Yeah.
mean just literally, but like even just like, because some, you know, there's invisible walls. in
Skyrim
games and
has
stuff.
no walls.
Yeah, and it never feels like, a lot of the time it doesn't feel like it does.
Well, I mean, was it like I wouldn't say that Skyrim's the best example because it gets away with a lot because it's open world, quote unquote open world.
Yeah, but the premise is the same, right? Or okay, maybe Dark Souls is a better example. There's very few cases where you'll be walking through it and you'll start to see the edges of the fiction. Like, there's very few examples where you'll be playing a Dark Souls game and you'll go, oh, it's unrealistic that I can't get through that door.
Yeah, Dark Souls is a better example because the rules in Dark Souls are a lot more consistent than... But, like, the rules in Dark Souls are probably the most consistent and while still being quite advanced sort of rule set of any game out there. Because you can have games which are consistent, like Mario. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
a good
just,
baseline.
yeah, it's just sort of like, everyone knows what Mario can do. Still pretty like advanced, but within that rule set, you're not like, oh, what can I can't do, and it still follows its own rules, especially with things like the warp rooms and stuff, where it's just like, if you can jump above the edge of the map, you can run on it because it's
that's
a
how the
Mario
world
and it's
works.
how the
Yeah.
game works. Whereas you get games like, I don't know, most linear games, like it's Bioshock Infinite, I guess,
Yep.
where it'll have sections which just kind of break its own rules.
Yes.
Like, you'll fall from a height and you'll die in the game, but then you'll fall from a height in the cutscene and
you'll
your
be
character will just be like, oh no, I have fallen. It's like,
it's where, like,
consistency.
There's like a mismatch between your style, your fiction, and the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
I feel like the Get Down does a good job of... It actually does something that Doctor Who does terribly now, where well, it's because the guy running it doesn't know what the fuck... He doesn't know how to write TV shows well.
Sure.
So what starts to happen is they go... Especially, I mean, any world where you introduce time travel is problematic, but... What you want to do is you want to introduce elements into your world that allow you to, like, hide those walls nicely, but such that you don't want to look for them, right? So, like,
Yeah.
never in Rick and Morty are you sitting there being like, oh, I wonder how time travel works in Rick and Morty. I wonder how dimension jumping works in Rick and Morty. Because that's not what you care about.
Yeah.
So the walls of that world are hidden in a nice way because you're focused on other things.
Well, I mean, Rick and Morty being a cartoon show aimed at young adults means that it naturally garners a huge audience of people going, how does the world work? Because every single fucking young
that's-
adult cartoon draws that kind of audience.
I was kind of
That's beside the point.
I was kind of assuming that we were talking about people that don't have neckbeards. Though.
Yeah,
shout
out to
educated
the
adults.
shout out to the theory community. You're all garbage.
Look, we don't hate you, but at the same time, it's like, come on. I don't know. Come on. Please. But yeah, so like that idea of you want to create this world, which isn't necessarily like a vacuum, but you create a space which you come into where it's stylized enough that you stop looking for like realistic corners.
It helps you suspend your disbelief.
And it also, I think you were talking about this a few months ago actually when we talked about Firewatch, but it's this idea
Jeez, that
of
was a while ago.
yeah, it was a long time. It was like February.
Yeah.
Maybe it could have been. Yeah, it must have been February. Like that idea of you can create these sort of they're like intangibles in your space that just make sense. So like Shao's shoes, right? Like Shaolin Fantastic and his color palette doesn't make any sense in real life.
Yeah, it's just kind of like
Because it's like red sneakers, a red jacket, and then whatever. Like
a
the
lot of the
gray
time
jeans.
a lot of the time he's just wearing the wife beater essentially.
Yeah. And you go, yeah, you know, in your head, you're like, yeah, I could see someone in real life wearing that, but not every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But in this world, you
it's
go,
his
of
uniform.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he's
it's
a
his
character.
uniform. Yeah,
he's
and
not
then-
he's not a human being in this world.
No,
really.
and
he's a character.
And it's fine because everyone else is a character as well, but in a way that isn't ridiculous.
Yeah, all the other characters are a bit more human.
They do elaborate on Shao a bit more when we get to know him. But, like, even Ezekiel, like, he has these really cartoony moments, but they don't feel out of character because the world they're in is just like that.
Yeah,
Like, when there's a particular moment where they're in their first get down or whatever, and he's going to pick up the mic, and then he doesn't, and someone else takes over. And then later on, he does pick it up, and he throws down this fucking killer beat. Like, it's just the sickest rhyme.
yeah,
They would have spent fucking weeks on that shit. It's so good, and he just throws it down.
yeah.
and
That's the thing I really liked about the just in general with the rapping was they did a really good job of like giving these lyrics that clearly took a long time to write, but the actors deliver them in such a way that it feels like they're pulling it up on the spot. Where
it's really hard to do.
Yeah, because it's the same kind of thing where if you're given a piece of paper to read, and you're told to read it as if you're not reading it, a lot of people can't do it.
Yeah, they can't do it.
And it's really hard to sort of say something that you know how the phrase goes, you know what's coming, but sound like you're doing it off the cuff.
It's one of the reasons that
I can't imagine it's any easier when you're trying to rhyme and sort of
it depends on
and
the
rhythm it at the same time.
Yeah. Like it also depends on like I always think it depends on what you're reading as well. Like,
Well, because if you're, especially if you're rapping, like you could, because it's so structured. Like, it's like jazz music. Like, you can't go to a jazz musician and give them sheet music and say, play this like it's jazz, because they'll just be like, no.
Like, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's one of the reasons that Kendrick, when he gets up and does these freestyles, it's like the best rap he does. When he gets up and he'll just like, for instance, he had this amazing concert a few months ago where he did all of his like normal songs or whatever, and then at the end he just started doing like free verse, and he just was rapping for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
With just like a standard beat that kind of changed. And he does his rap, and it sounds like a fully produced song. Like, it sounds like he's been working on it for years, and it's like half of it is probably pre-written from like half thrown away things that he's written in the past, and then the other half is completely improvised. And when the two come together, that's when it sounds right balance.
Yeah, it's oddly natural, but at the same time, you can tell there's just shit coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so when like something, and you don't consciously think it, but when you feel it, when something just works and they hit it right, you feel that it's organic, they feel that it's organic, and they hit that shit. Those moments are the moments that the show does very well.
Yeah, the show pulls them. I think the show pulls the sort of audience feel. I don't think it pulls as much of this, like, again, because they're not perfect actors. When you're doing something off the cuff and you just pull something amazing out of nowhere, you, as like the person, I'm taking this mainly from just like comedy joke experience, not rapping.
Yeah,
us
us clowning around doing videos.
Yeah,
not
like
rapping.
when you pull something out and like it's completely improv and it's like the perfect timing, and you say it in such a way that conveys sort of excitement on the person who's saying it behind
for sure.
like you feel excited about saying this, and like you see it again with like, you see it in like freestyle rap and stuff like that. I don't think they hit that like amazingly.
Well, definitely not in episode 1.
No, like they still portrayed the whole idea of like, it sounds like he's pulling it out of his ass most of the time, but I feel like they could have almost they could have like just broken the flow a little bit at points to sort of show the character going like, oh damn, that was fucking sick.
Yeah,
like,
having those moments where you throw something
just like,
down and you're
was
like,
pretty
yeah,
good.
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does start to happen, but they don't really lean into it. They just kind of skim it a little.
Yeah, which sometimes feels like it's sort of turning into just a musical thing.
See,
they're just like, woo, musical number, and you're like, cool, it's good, I'm enjoying it, but like, you don't feel like a character anymore. You feel like an artist.
See, that to me is a problem. That's one of the problems with the show, I think. And they, it's less so toward the end because there's less rapping toward the end.
And there's more just show, yeah.
Yeah, but like one of the biggest problems that it suffers from is that there's one of the main characters, the producer for Mylene. He feels the whole time like a cartoon. Until like one of the last episodes, it's like, I think it might be the last episode. He feels just like a cartoon producer. Like, he's addicted to drugs. He's well over his prime. No one in the industry wants him anymore.
Yeah.
The whole show, he feels like a cartoon until the very end, where they do like a bit of character work. But if they hadn't done it, I wouldn't have noticed that they did it, and I would have been fine with him. But instead what they did is they were like, oh fuck, he's had no development. We better pull a quick switch at the end here and have him be something else. And when they do it, it stands out so much, and you notice it, and you're like, "Whoa, what the like? Where did that come from?" I think that's one of the problems.
I almost feel like they could have gone sort of like full. You remember that remake of Romeo and Juliet that's set in like modern times, but they still talk.
There's a few of those, but yeah,
it's the really good one. But it's like rephrased, like they're like, instead of the families, they're like rival gangs essentially.
Yeah, I know what
but they still have all the lines are still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like they should have just gone full ham with something like that, where like the entire show is rhyme.
Oh god, that would have been the worst to write.
Well, yeah, no, it would have been complete hell to write.
Oh god.
But it would have made the sections that are actual rhyming
feel more natural.
But
I think something. Well, not. It's.
I mean,
like,
it would have been insane and ridiculous, and it probably would have suffered. But it would have been pretty fun.
Something they do that's really, really good with Ezekiel, is that he speaks. They don't get it till about episode 3, but he speaks very rhythmically, and he starts to kind of. He has these lines of dialogue that feel like rap.
Yeah. There are sections where, especially in the first episode, I noticed when he's talking to, what's his name, Shaolin Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's like like you know exactly how this story's gonna end. You know he's gonna hear him say something, or you're gonna hear him like drop some rhymes, and he's gonna be like, "Damn, this is the kid I've been looking for."
This the boy.
And so you're listening to every single dialogue that Ezekiel says to Shaolin, and you're like, "Oh, that was close.
pretty good.
Oh,
You
oh,
almost got
that
it.
was nearly."
Yeah, you're waiting for
You're
it.
waiting for it, and you're listening in. You're like, he's actually just talks poetically anyway.
Yeah, they wrote his dialogue so well. Because
Yeah.
people like that, that's how
And it's
they
like no other character does the same. Like Jaden Smith's character is the most like fucking piece of wet cardboard for most of the thing.
He gets real good later.
yeah, but like he starts off just very sort of 21st century. Jaden
I mean, to be
Smith
honest, he's just
for a
Jaden-
long-
he's just Jaden
he's
Smith
literally
for a
just Jaden Smith.
And then
yeah.
later on, he's like Jaden Smith, the graffiti artist.
Like they what they did, they got an AI and they fed the AI Jaden Smith's tweets to print his dialogue, and they're like, this is
they were
Jaden
like,
Smith's.
go, and then the computer punched it in
It was
and
like
created a model.
and just made some tweets, and that's his dialogue.
Kind of feels like it
Just
at the
his
start,
tweets.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that I really like. It's interesting to me that this is going really under the radar. Like no one's talking about.
I
it.
haven't
Like
like
it's honestly
a-
like so important.
yeah, there was like a big sort of push when it came out on Netflix, and that was about it.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is? Everyone's been going on about that stupid Strange shit, whatever the fuck that
What,
show
Stranger
is.
Things?
Stranger
Well,
Things.
Stranger Things is also good, but it's a different thing.
I don't even know what the fuck it is, but everyone's been going on, "Oh, Stranger Things is amazing," and I'm like, nah, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you wouldn't appreciate it.
I don't watch TV shows.
It's
Like,
I know,
just
but
not my thing.
it's also you don't have the background to appreciate that show, so don't
Oh,
watch it.
okay, sure.
No, I mean you just don't.
what's it even about? Like,
Well, it's like a Stand By Me kind of thing. So it's like 4 kids and there's a
I didn't even know what
mystery.
that is, so
exactly.
sure.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you didn't read Stephen King growing up.
No.
You've got literally no taste in TV, so you're not going to appreciate.
I don't
it.
watch TV.
No. Well, neither do I. I'm not saying TV. I mean TV shows.
No,
Like,
I watch some, but like, I don't really give a shit.
exactly. So don't watch it. That's what I'm saying.
Game of Thrones more like Game of. I'm not watching it.
You got him.
Hey!
You got him. I did have one final point that I wanted to end. But you've just. I mean, boy.
Knocked
Just
it
out of the park. Look, no, what I was gonna say was, yeah, they really capture like that kind of lyricism in the lyrics and even in just Ezekiel's speech. And the more that the show goes on, the more you start to like notice the progression of his dialogue and the progression of the style. And I just think it tells such an important story that we never get to hear because it's about black people in New York in a time when no one was talking about black people.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this really crucial part of the narrative for people like Kendrick Lamar, who is like, Kendrick is the best rapper in the world, and I will fight anyone who thinks differently. Because that dude he may not be like stylistically the best, he may not have the best beats or whatever, but that dude is going for number 1. He's gunning every day.
Yeah.
He keeps coming out with more music, it's better every time. That dude is going for the fucking throne. You know, I don't really give a shit what Jay-Z or Kanye doing. They're sitting there, they're wanking themselves off or whatever. But Kendrick is making really good fucking music all the time.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting better. And this story that they're telling about this kid Ezekiel who becomes books and this kind of progression of his career through this weird like part of history is like super important because it never gets talked about. I know it's ironic that 2 white guys are sitting in a basement talking about this on a fucking podcast
in Australia.
in
yeah.
Australia, but like it's so important.
Anya, we're doing our work. Fucking moral fucking
Whatever.
banking. Just
Look,
cashing in.
I'm a middle class white guy, but what I'm saying is, if you haven't, this is a part of
it's
the
a
narrative.
good perspective.
This is a part of the narrative that was erased for various reasons in history, and this show does a good job of reminding you that this existed and why it's important.
yeah.
And that the people that you see, your Kanyes and your Kardashians, all that garbage, whatever it is that you love about the world that we live in, all kind of lends itself and owes itself to stories like this, where it's, you know, these shitty places with these shitty conditions and these people rising from that through, like, hard work.
yeah.
That got deep.
It's
but
just a good time. It's a good show.
look, it's pretty traumatic. It's a good show, but it's got some weird dog shit in it. Look, Ben, yeah, that's good. Where can people find us?
That
Was also oddly dismissive. I was like, yeah, that was good. What you said was great.
Yeah,
but also, where can people find
Thanks,
us?
David. YouTube.com/DCM underscore.
No, it's just DCM Works. We got a fucking URL. for it.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah.
Hooray.
It took YouTube like 6 months to get back to me.
Good job, everyone.
But we have a custom URL, so if you type in youtube.com/DCMworks, it goes to us.
Isn't it /users?
No, it's just /DCMworks.
Oh, that's hype.
Dude,
Get hype.
I
for
know.
That. Slap that into your address
Fucking
bar.
slap it in. We're on Twitter, we're at DCM_Works. We're on the Facebook, DCM Works Social. We also have a new channel, The Antagonist, on
Oh
YouTube.
yeah, that one.
You can look it up. It's if you just type in
It's got
The Antagonist. If you can't spell it, then you can't type it.
go. Well, it'll
Google the word
Google,
antagonist,
yeah,
then
and
type into YouTube The Antagonist, and you'll
Yeah.
find us.
Hooray!
It's a good time. But
There's
also,
one video there.
there's one so
so
far.
far.
There'll be probably this will go up tomorrow, so there'll be still one.
There'll still be one.
On Monday, there'll be a second. 'cause
Oh
it's-
boy,
there's
get
a-
excited
there's
for
a-
that.
There's a video every
AFA first.
Monday.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can follow us on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. We're at we have a Let's Play channel, DCM I Hate Pie.
It's so dumb.
Look, it's a
Play
look,
lots
whatever.
of the dumb
We play lots
games.
of dumb games. Oh, actually, we're playing Pokemon at the moment, which is my favorite.
ROM hack.
Look, we also run the Coffee House channel as well.
Oh,
We are everywhere.
Playing No Man's Sky.
Dude,
what
it's
a grand old
fucking
time.
whatever. It's a good time. Go and watch us play a game. We have fun. There's hijinks, but also Ben, this podcast
This
is brought
intro's
to
been
you.
going for a while.
Look, this outro. I'm just
Outro.
pushing through it.
Yep.
Don't hit my momentum, man. I'm
Alright.
nearly there. This podcast is also brought to you by Hover.com. If you want to buy a URL, which is like it's like a web address, is what a URL
Thing
is. If you
type
didn't
into
know,
the
I
top
don't
of
know
the
how you
bar.
got here. If you don't know what that is, this podcast is on the internet. But if you don't know what a URL is, you can go there. They'll tell you, and you can buy one for cheap without code. It's in the show notes. It's a string of alphanumeric because they refuse to give me DCM works. But one day maybe we'll have it. But for now, you can click that. You can get a cheap URL. It helps out the show. We get a few dollars back.
A few dollars.
Which helps us keep the lights on. Not literally, we're sitting in the dark. But
yeah, we have a candlelit microphone.
that's exciting. Candlelit microphone. Oh.
It's microphones.
All right. Well, we should stop because
Yeah.
this plug has been
All
going
right.
for so long.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. There was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an
Yeah.
outside perspective, that's weird
It
as
makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is
Because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.
Thanks for listening. If you want to support the show, just head to patreon.com/DCMworks.